What's up, YouTube? James Biggie here, and I'm gonna put together a little, stuff going on right now. Things I'm into, things I'm doing. Just a minor update for this channel and for myself in general, generally speaking. Not completely unlike the It's Late, I'm Tired, Rambly video I put up on here a bit ago. But I'm not that tired, and it's 1:44 a.m., which is not that late for me. By normal standards, absolutely. But anyway, yeah. Start out with the YouTube stuff, I guess. This channel is kind of coming along here and there. I'm not pushing it too hard, really. I've been too busy to push either of my YouTube channels too hard. The other one kind of grows itself, but this one, we're still hovering on 25 subscribers and just like low to decent-ish views on whatever amounts of views on my videos and whatever. So that's alright. That being said, I don't really want to push this channel as hard as I push the Magic one, just because this is more personal. And if you find it on your own, or you're a friend of mine and you watch and enjoy anything I've done on here, it's appreciated, but it's just an outlet. It's just a forum for me to talk about whatever it is I want to talk about. The last video I put up was about the dumb motherfuckers in Charlottesville, Virginia, and that whole train wreck of a situation up there with these Nazi dickheads marching on college campuses, and it's a bad situation still. I'm not going to go too in depth because I already did that in one video, but it's silly that I had to make a video about that at all. Outside of that, work has been pretty good. It's been super busy. The new shop is going great. I've been insanely busy, so thank you to anybody who catches this that has got tattooed at a new shop by me or booked an appointment or anything like that. Yeah, it's been insane. Really, really insane. We have shirts and stickers and all that stuff made, and it's really cool to have this sort of place where I've been working with these people for so long, but now we can finally sort of do what we want and have something to be proud of and something to show for it. So that is really cool. It's been insanely busy, or at least I personally have been insanely busy. And a lot of people that I know and a lot of my friends and clients and coworkers and stuff have been through the new place. And it's been really cool to show off. I'm really happy to show it off to folks. So that's that. Aside from that, I've been hanging out with the girlfriend, Allison, and the dogs, and watching TV and movies, and just kind of chilling at home and being a homebody in my free time, which there hasn't been a lot of lately. Seems like every single week there's some sort of weird project or something that just pops up randomly, unexpected. This week our air conditioning broke, so for 2 days we were without air conditioning in the house, which it wasn't terribly bad because it was less hot for those 2 days than it has been in a while, but that was kind of a bummer. It's a pain in the ass. I had to get in contact with my maintenance guy that my landlord pays to keep my place in order and whatnot, and have him get in contact with the AC company to send them to fix it. And on Tuesday they were supposed to come out between the hours of 2 and 4, showed up after 4 when both me and Allison were at work, and then we set them up to come back at Wednesday between 10 and noon, which was the first of my 2 days off this week. And they showed up right before noon to fix it, and fixed it finally, which was nice. We've survived the great overheating of 2017. All my animals are fine. The dogs and cats toughed it out. The lizards like the heat, so they were fine. But that was annoying. And then the week before that, or the week before that, whichever, a week before or 2 weeks before, we ended up purchasing and installing some security cameras outside of the house because we had some sketchy shit go on with this dude that hangs out with the neighbors, I think, where he's coming into our yard and harvesting cigarette butts from Allison's ashtray out there. And that's fine or whatever, it's garbage. I don't care that much, more so than the fact that he was in our yard at all, which is weird. But he also stole the ashtray itself, which is strange and annoying. And then somebody, I'm not saying it's this kid that we've caught with the cigarette butts, somebody cut the flower bits of Allison's sunflowers off of them. And they were gone. It's not like they cut them off and left them there. They cut them off and took them. And that's very strange and kind of a dick move. And so we put cameras up. So if the weird shit continues, we're going to catch it on camera, and I'm either going to have proof that is whichever person it is and have a reason to involve police with it, or I'm going to catch this kid in the act and there's going to be a conflict to be had. I hope it's neither. I hope it just kind of goes away or whatever, but it feels nice to have the reassurance of cameras. Not to be braggadocious or talk about the stuff that I have, but I have a lot of expensive things. I have a comic book collection, a Magic the Gathering collection, which sounds silly, but there is value there monetarily with both of those, in addition to just equipment and things, cameras, microphones, computers, things I've acquired over time that have monetary value that I keep at my house, like most people do, keep their possessions. I also have a very modest statue collection and shit like that. And there's some value to be had in my home, and the fact that somebody is creeping in my yard and shit, it's an uneasy feeling to know that. So that was another thing that came up on the previous week's days off and stuff like that. So it just seems like between the AC and that, and then random other stuff. I know a few weeks back we cleaned our carpets, and just general adulting stuff. My days off have felt pretty unfulfilling, at least, or maybe not unfulfilling, because it is fulfilling to improve your life and improve your home and be responsible and shit, but unfun in certain ways. I haven't done anything super spectacularly fun, except for last week I took my parents to a baseball game, which that'll make a good segue. I'm a big Cleveland Indians fan, and if you know me, you know that, obviously. If not, I love baseball. I don't think I've talked about it on this channel before. I fucking love baseball, and specifically the Cleveland Indians. And I live in the Tampa, Florida area, so we don't get television broadcast of Cleveland games unless they're in the playoffs. And they come down here once a year to play the Tampa Bay Rays, which I do like the Rays as well. But whenever the Indians come to town, I like to try to at least make one game if I can. And this time around, Allison had to work the following day really early, so she couldn't make it. So I asked my dad if he wanted to come, and he's like, well, your mom's off work too. And I'm like, well, she can come too. And my dad was like, well, how much are tickets or whatever, kind of weighing how much it would cost him to go or whatever. And I'm like, you know what, don't worry about it, I got it. So I bought the tickets, I picked them up at their house, and I took them to a ball game, and it was a ton of fun. I love going to baseball games. If you live in Tampa, Florida, and you're not going to Rays games, shame on you. Like, it's so much fun, even if you're not a fan of the Rays specifically, or even if you're not, like, super into or follow baseball. You go, you pay $30 or $40 for decent seats. There really are no bad seats in that ballpark. And you relax and watch a game. And if you're invested at all in baseball, it's pretty exciting. And you just chill and have a beer and a hot dog or whatever and hang out. The Indians lost that game, and it was a fairly calm game. It was tied 1-1 into like the bottom of the eighth. And then the Rays came back and won it, and that's fine or whatever. The Indians won that series 3-1, so that was sweet. But yeah, it was a blast. It felt really nice to treat my parents to something. We don't get a chance to do many fun things together. Mostly because I'm really busy. My dad's been really busy working. My mom works. They don't have a ton of money or time to do stuff like that. So it felt good to treat them. It was a good time. I would like to do it again soon. I might try to make one more ball game this year before the playoffs and all that happen. It's not going to be the Indians because they're not coming back to town. But I'll catch a random team in town, like, I don't know, Seattle Mariners or something like that, or whoever the Rays have left on their schedule. And when the Rays play everybody but the Indians, I absolutely cheer for the Rays. I'm a big fan of any team that is in the division with the Yankees and Red Sox and who has the opportunity to beat those teams regularly. So I always root for the Rays unless they're playing the Indians, because the Indians are my favorite team. They're doing great this year. They're in first place still. Just won today against the Twins, killing it. Hopefully they make another run at the World Series and win it this time. It was a really, really huge heartbreaker last year, the World Series, when they lost Game 7 to the Cubs. But that's what you look forward to another year of baseball for. Outside of that, my other channel, the Magic one, has grown. We're up to like something like 118 subscribers. I did a giveaway, so thanks to everybody about that stuff. And we'll talk about Magic on here specifically because that's not what this channel's for. Outside of the fact that I went tonight and played some Magic, it was cool. Got to see some friends and stuff. That was nice. But the YouTube thing's cool. I enjoy it still. It's harder currently to find time to make content, which is why I wait until nights like this where I don't have a ton to do and I'm sort of sitting and waiting for The Defenders to go up on Netflix. So I thought I'd kill some time and make some YouTube conversational videos, sort of podcast feel sort of thing. I just fell down a rabbit hole on YouTube. I was watching random videos, and then one of the recommended videos that popped up was about Mitch Hedberg. Another thing I haven't spoke about is how huge a fan of stand-up comedy I am. Mitch Hedberg's one of my all-time favorites. I actually have a tattoo of Mitch Hedberg on me. I love stand-up comedy. I really do. I feel like it's one of the most honest art forms as far as entertainment goes, and when it's done well and by a craftsman or woman who knows the craft and can deliver jokes or deliver and tell a story in that way, I think it's second to none as an art form. I mean, aside from maybe music being the next closest runner-up or whatever, stand-up comedy is really raw and honest and truthful and personal, and I've always loved it. I believe the greatest stand-up comedian of all time and my favorite ever is George Carlin. But there's just a ton of great stand-ups and a ton of terrible ones, and it's interesting hearing about or watching content created about these people or by these people. So yeah, I fell down a rabbit hole. I watched a video about Mitch Hedberg and his life, and then I watched a similar one by the same YouTube channel about Louis C.K., who I'm a huge fan of, and then I fell into these really corny top 10 list by like websites and YouTube channels like WatchMojo.com or whatever, where they did a top 10 countdown of like the greatest American comedians, male American comedians, which I feel their list was terribly flawed. They got the number one right with George Carlin, but the rest of it was a little iffy. There's some really strange omissions. And then the Watch Mojo thing led me to a list of the top 10 independent rappers of all time. And also, like, an insanely flawed list. It put Immortal Technique up at number 1, which I like Immortal Technique, but I wouldn't call him the number 1 indie rapper of all time. I would probably give that to Slug from Atmosphere, just simply for the fact that that dude created a scene, is part of creating a scene in an area that didn't have a scene, and really brought the Midwest into the limelight for rap, more so than anybody else. I know a lot of people like Tech-9 and think Tech-9's that dude, although Tech-9 did do a lot and has done a lot for independent hip-hop. I feel like Rhymesayers Entertainment probably is the biggest label outside of Tech-9's. And Atmosphere and Slug specifically could be talked about as one of the greatest MCs of all time. Just period, indie or not. But definitely belongs at the top of the list for independent MCs. And they left off a lot of random stuff. LP wasn't on there. Merce wasn't on there. None of the Living Legends. Sage Francis was a huge leave off. And just tons and tons of others. I understand with a top 10 list, you're limited to 10. And they had a lot of good rappers and good mentions on there and stuff like that. But it just feels like leaving Slug off the list when you put Brother Ali on the list, who's a great rapper too. But arguably nobody would have known who the hell Brother Ali was if Slug wasn't around first. So if you're going to put one on the list, you got to put both on. At least on the list, if not number 1. But this is a sort of weird thing that happens. I fall into these random clickbaity sort of, ooh, I like rap, I like list because it's simple and I don't have to think a lot. And then I always disagree with the list and I have to talk about it. Like, did you see this list? It's stupid. So that happened. Oh, an omission on the comedians one. Now I'm looking at it right here. Dave Chappelle was not listed in the top 10 male American stand-up comedians ever. And that's ridiculous. Especially when they list Chris Rock, who's great. And I know the list is a little bit older, but they listed Bill Cosby, which, like, Bill Cosby, for his stand-up, like, he did a good job at stand-up. But I feel like you can't put that guy on a list of anything now because his reputation is so fucking tarnished and terrible. And I get, like, his personal life and his career are two different things, but it was a dated list, and I'll give him the pass on that. Other than that, watching Netflix series left and right. Netflix is killing it. I just watched the series Atypical, which was pretty good. It was entertaining, at least. There's some funny moments and stuff. I don't know that it fully completely represents or is an entirely accurate depiction of people with Asperger's or why can I not think of the word right now? People on the spectrum. I can't think of the word. Shit. This is really annoying because I know the word. It's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, folks on the spectrum. It, don't know how accurate it was in that depiction, but there were some really interesting things and some scenes and stuff that sort of make you think about people that live with that autism. Jesus Christ, I couldn't think of the word autism. Yes, people who live with autism. It really was neat that it made you think, and I have a very close friend of mine who has a son who has Asperger's and is autistic, and not to say that it has affected me at all, but having a person that has a person very close to them in their life, in your life, it makes you a little more aware and a little more empathetic of a situation like that and of people like that. And this is a show that I think did a lot of good work to help that. So it's worth watching. It's entertaining. It's funny. It's kind of sad in areas, but still decent. Aside from that, I'm rewatching the War for the Planet of the Apes and Rise of the Planet of the Apes, with the intent on going to see the third one soon, because I love those first two movies, but it's been a while since I've watched them. So I'm rewatching those currently to go watch the third one. And I'm behind on going to see movies. Last movie I went and saw was Spider-Man Homecoming, which of course was great. I've made a whole video about it here. Listening to a lot of music lately, but kind of falling into a funk where I can't settle on anything I want to listen to. I've been going back and forth. I've been listening to a lot of Run the Jewels, specifically the third album, their most recent. I listen to that album a lot, like a few times a week. The new Jay-Z 444 I've been listening to quite a bit. I like that album quite a bit. And I'm anticipating a couple albums randomly. Greaves has a new album. I like that dude. I like most of the other stuff he's done. Another independent rapper. Yeah. So, music, I've been having a hard time settling or listening to one thing. And a lot of the stuff I've listened to, I've either played out or I've heard a lot. So, trying to find new music's difficult because I'm such a cantankerous old fuck when it comes to like finding new bands or new rappers or new musicians that I haven't previously heard of. It's hard for me. I try and even like go out of my way sometimes to listen to some random new stuff. Rarely does any of it stick though. Excuse me, maybe I am more tired than I thought. But yeah. So there's that. I have a bunch of appointments coming up I gotta draw for at work. Which, if you've booked an appointment, I'm still working on it. I'll have it ready by the time your appointment comes up. Yeah, I've done some random cool tattoos. I've been killing it. People have been tipping me really well lately. And I always say that I never expect tips, but I always appreciate them. It's not required, but absolutely, absolutely appreciated. I've been getting tipped really well, and I've been using my tip money randomly to just live, to buy my Red Bull in the morning, to pick up lunch, whatever the case may be. It helps. It's nice to have not only the money I earn through my weekly check through each tattoo I do, but when people tip, it's super cool, and always super appreciated, like I've said 3 times now. But that's it. I mean, work's been really good. The drama with my old job and this new job, it's no longer existent really. Not to say that I've spoke to anybody from my old shop, but they've seemed to calm down a bit, and it feels like we're doing really good, and perhaps they aren't, and that's never what I hope for. I always just want us to do our own thing and do well, but there's also that apprehension when you're adjusting and shifting jobs and changing over, especially in the tattoo business, especially opening a brand new shop that's never been around before or whatever. There's always that apprehension that, well, what if it's slow? What if I don't make enough money to pay my bills? Because we don't get an hourly pay. The tattooers, it's something that not everybody realizes. Tattooers don't make hourly wage. We don't have a salary or a set number that we take home every week. I make the money from the people I tattoo during the week. That's my check I take home, and I only make a fraction of it. There's a split with the shop. The shop takes part, I take the other part. I don't really care about discussing money. So I'll throw it out there. I know people get weird about it. I make 60% of every tattoo I do. So if a tattoo is $100, I make $60. If I don't do a tattoo, I don't make any money. So that's scary going into a new shop. The new shop, though, thus far has been really good. I haven't had a completely shitty week. I've had 3 really good weeks so far and 1 mediocre week, and we've only been open for 4 weeks. This is the 5th week I am in as we speak, and I've already had a really, really good week, and I look to continue it, and that's thanks to my awesome clientele, my regulars that come in and get cool tattoos and trust me to create something that they're going to like and that is artistically what they want and also how I want to do it. That's really cool to have people that place that trust in you and pay you to do it. So, thank you to any of my regular clientele that have found me at my new shop or that have told other people where I'm at now and where the rest of us are and all that. My coworkers, because you guys rule. Without you, I would be eating ramen and not paying my bills. I mean, I still eat ramen because ramen's good, but I'm paying my bills too, so that's cool. Shit. Outside of that, I don't know what else to talk about. I've been slacking hard on reading comics, which feels bad. I was reading comics religiously for about 5 years or so, and then I kind of stopped. I still subscribe and pick up books from my local store that I'm very good friends with, but I haven't been reading any of them. It's tough. It's hard to find the time, and it's just not at the front of my brain to read comics lately. I will eventually get back into it, I'm sure. Collecting comics. Excuse me. Collecting and reading comics has been one of my favorite things to do my whole life. And taking the long hiatus that I have from it, it feels weird, but honestly, there are times where I don't miss it because it becomes taxing to keep up with so many books. I probably should go back to reading a small handful of books and leaving the rest alone, but it's hard to say whether or not I will anytime soon. It's tough. It takes a lot of time to not only read but retain the information. Like, I could read a comic real quick, but I'm not really going to recall it enough to follow an ongoing monthly or bi-weekly story that's being told. So maybe I'll switch to just waiting for trade paperbacks to come out and reading things like that as they're collected in larger volumes. But I don't know. What else can I talk about here? I don't know how long we're running here, but as long as I have stuff to talk about or I can think of something, I totally will. Let's see. Does it have a timer? Oh yeah, we're at 28 minutes, so we're almost a half an hour in. Shit, man. I don't even know. Yeah, this is what it looks like when you just ramble on for as long as you do and talk about the shit you've been up to, and you haven't been really up to much. The summer's almost done with. By done with, I mean it's going to hang around for another 3 months because it's Florida. It's been hot and less rainy lately, just hot and humid and muggy. If you live in Florida, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't live in Florida, it's miserably hot here for a good portion of the year. Our summers last for like at least 2/3 of the year, maybe 3/4, and even in the months where other places where it's starting to cool down and get nice outside and get cold, and you're expecting stuff like snow and a winter and a season and stuff. Not in Florida. Florida, even like through the fall when the leaves change and fall and look pretty everywhere else, it's just hot and sweaty here. I remember going to like the theme park Busch Gardens when they have their Halloween event thing during the month of October, and it being like mid to late October and still being like 96 degrees outside when you're trying to walk around a theme park and go in haunted houses and shit. It's a bummer. November will likely not cool down a ton. December might have a few cool nights, and maybe we'll get like collectively about 2 weeks of actual cold, and then it'll go back to being hot again. So Florida blows. Don't move here. I still have this love-hate relationship with this place. Mostly I hate the place, I hate the weather, love the people and my friends and family and coworkers and shit like that. So I've planted roots here and there's nothing I can do about it. I would like to travel though. I haven't been out of the state in a while. We went to North Carolina on vacation. Now will be 3 years ago. That was actually, 2 summers ago. So by the end of this year, it'll have been like 2.5 years. It sucks not traveling and not being able to see shit and go places. Not for any specific reason other than just responsibility and adulting, and for the fact that there's a small piece of me that has this sort of PTSD about before I had a big clientele and when I was strictly making money on walk-ins only at my former job at the old tattoo shop I worked at. Before I established myself as having a good-sized clientele, there were times where I was dependent completely on walk-ins and pretty shitty about saving money. And there would be slow seasons that happen here at the end of the year during the fall into December. And during those slow seasons, less people get tattooed. And there were a few times where I did not save up money, and it kind of fucked me for a couple months during the slow season. It was a struggle. One year I had to sell a firearm that I owned. I haven't owned a gun since. I don't feel it entirely necessary to own a gun. I'm not going to get political about it because I don't have any real politics about it. But one year I had to sell a gun to make some money. I've sold an iPad before, iPhones. My girlfriend Allison has sold stuff during our slower seasons years ago. Now back to about 4 or so years ago. So I have this piece of me in my head that now that I'm okay with money and I'm okay with business and stuff, the last slow season this past year wasn't bad at all. Like, knock on wood, I didn't have a problem paying my bills or anything like that. But I have it in the back of my head that if I do something like travel or go on a vacation or spend money to be away from work, not only are the expenses of travel going to add up quickly, but the fact that I'm missing out on work and making money add up quickly because I don't get a paid vacation sort of situation. So, not only am I spending money to go places, but I'm losing money to go places. So vacations are difficult. The last vacation we went on was North Carolina, and I tattooed at the shop I used to work at up there for like 4 of the 6 days we were there. So it was a work vacation, but it was still a lot of fun. So it's tough to pull the trigger to go a place and just have fun for any amount of time and be away from home. And I also have a mess of animals here. 2 dogs, 2 cats, and a bunch of lizards. And having them, being away from them sucks. I miss them a ton whenever I'm away. And having my parents or Allison's parents come and monitor and watch them and let them out and stuff like that works, but it's still annoying to have to set that up. and hope that it gets done and they're taken care of and stuff. Not that I would doubt the ability of any of our parents or anything to take care of our dogs and cats and shit, but it's still, I'm sort of not a control freak, but I'd like to handle my own stuff very much so. So that's annoying. It would be nice to go on a vacation where I could take my dogs at least, because as long as there's food and water, cats kind of take care of themselves. The lizards just have to have lights turned on and off during the day and at night. But I'd miss my dogs too much, I think, to leave for any major amount of time. I mean, I still will at some point, but it's gonna suck. I'm gonna miss Colby and Daisy a ton. I don't like being away from them that much. Especially, it sounds stupid, it sounds like favoritism, but Colby, like, me and him have been living together for 6 years now, and have been through a lot with that dog, and I love him to death. And I love Daisy too, but me and Colby have this sort of special, super fucking kind of too close of a relationship. So, it's hard. You walk away from your pets for even a week and it feels like an eternity. So yeah, traveling, something I'd like to get back to. Doing conventions again. I had a good run where I was doing a tattoo convention or 2 a year, and I haven't for like 3 years now, and that sucks. Tattoo conventions are great, they're a ton of fun. I feel it's one of the things, the positive changes with the new shop will be I'll have the ability to go work conventions again, and maybe even with my coworkers, we could go as a shop. I never had that before. I would always have to take it upon myself to go get my booth, book my hotel room, set all this shit up, go to wherever the convention is, and work it myself. I never got to go as a group with my coworkers. I've gone with other local artists and friends of mine and stuff, which is cool. Like, me and another tattooer from a local shop here, Steve, went to Miami, rode down together 1 year. We didn't split a booth or anything, but rode down together, split a hotel, hung out for the whole weekend. It was cool. It was a lot of fun. And then me and a former coworker of mine and a shop I used to work at, we split a booth and I worked out of the booth with them and rode down together, and that was a ton of fun too. And then me and one of the dudes from that shop went and got a booth at another convention the same year. And it was a blast, and it worked really well. We worked really well together. It was cool. But I never did it with, my home squad, I would love to take the Forever Faithful crew and myself and go get a booth somewhere and get a hotel room and go hit it up on the convention floor and work our asses off and do a bunch of cool tattoos and hang out with other artists and be around just tattooing at its core. It's easy to lose sight of what it's like when you're working with the same group of people in the same location day in and day out, and you get to this sort of rhythm, and it's fine, but nothing feels better than going to a convention and working really hard and also hanging out with a bunch of other tattooers that you don't see every day and learning a lot. You learn a ton. You have a blast. The party life at conventions is crazy. It's a lot of fun. The amount of shenanigans and stuff at nighttime that you can get into after the convention floor closes, hanging out, getting drinks, partying. And it's not something I do in my normal day-to-day life at all. I don't ever drink. I've got a fridge full of beer. I love beer. I'm a self-proclaimed beer snob. I enjoy high-quality microbrew beer. Call me a hipster, whatever. But I have a bunch in my fridge I haven't touched for months, just because I don't often get the opportunity or the urge to drink. It's just not something I'm really apt to doing often. I have to have some sort of occasion. Conventions are an absolute occasion. There have been some pretty crazy stories about me and a bunch of other artists, and some alcohol and craziness that have happened, specifically in Miami. Miami's a crazy town. But, yeah, tattoo conventions are great. I'd like to go with the home crew. I'd like to see my coworkers and friends get out there and just have a good time together outside of the shop. It's a good experience, and it makes everybody a better artist for it. It's impossible to go work a tattoo convention and not learn a ton, or not feel like you've advanced your art past a certain level, from wherever you were before. So maybe I'll try to talk those guys into something coming up soon or early next year. It's, for now, the goal is to get through the summer, get into the slow season, and through the slow season. That shit's still scary. It doesn't go away. The fear of the slow season doesn't go away. But I feel like I'm preparing better for it this last year or so. So that's that. Aside from that, shit, we've got to be at pretty late in time here. Yeah, we are pushing 41 minutes. So maybe we cut it here. I don't know. I kind of feel like continuing to speak. It would be nice if I had like a co-host or somebody to talk to, so I could share ideas with them and talk to them directly. Podcasting is a thing I've always been interested in general. The sort of spoken word art form, which is why I'm so drawn to stand-up comedy and hip-hop, stuff like that, is because I feel like the English language and spoken word is really important, and it really resonates with me. Podcasting absolutely fits in that category. I listen to a bunch of different podcasts when I can, and I've always been interested. I would always have liked the idea of talking to another human just as a extracurricular sort of activity and outlet to share thoughts. I listen to like Joe Rogan and Mark Maron and even a bunch of Kevin Smith's podcast, as well as some very specific ones about Magic the Gathering or comic books or movies or whatever the case may be. But either way, I think we'll cut it here. It's been nice talking to the 6 people that are going to see this. If you like this sort of thing, please encourage me to do it more, because I just need a reason to. I totally will do it more. That's about all I've got, I guess. We're at 43 minutes even. Let's call it 45 by the time I'm done with this outro. James, Biggie, definitely thank you guys for subscribing, the ones that do, for liking, commenting, viewing, even anything, telling your friends or whatever about these videos. This isn't something that I ever thought I would do and enjoy as much as I do, but I really do. YouTube's a cool place, even though there's a lot wrong with it. There's a lot going right for it too. So that's all we've got today. Maybe a few weeks will pass. I'll do another one of these as a loose format. Yeah, that's about it, guys. So thank you so much. I'll talk to you again soon, and keep living life. That's all I got for you. So, bye.